Welcome everybody to our urban parking system repository that's been designed and developed in Enterprise Architect. We're continuing to look at ArchiMate today, and we're looking at the service realization viewpoint in ArchiMate. So I'll hand over to you, Stephen. Welcome, and can you tell us a little bit about service realization viewpoint in ArchiMate?
Thanks for the introduction, Scott. Always a pleasure to be here. Yes, another ArchiMate viewpoint. If you haven't looked at previous videos, please do that. We've got a number of different viewpoints now in our urban parking system. And as always, I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner of the application and set my perspective. I've been doing some decision modeling earlier today. I'm going to just drop down that menu and look at the perspective sets. And I want Enterprise Architecture Set and ArchiMate. The tool changes its focus to ArchiMate, and you can see here in the builder page there are a number of patterns that we can look at. So there's the service realization viewpoint there. I encourage you to use these patterns. You can inject them into your models by using the Create Model button there. But as always, I like to do things from first principles. So let's close the builder page and let's get started. We need to find a location for this viewpoint in our repository. I'm going to go into the enterprise node there, and you can see that opens up there, and I'm going to put it under a business architecture. So all I do is create a package for that, and it's going to be called the service realization. Viewpoint. And as always, Scott, I like to put notes in as we're going along, so into packages and diagrams and elements. Let's put some notes in for this viewpoint. And I didn't get these from, didn't make them up myself or get them from the tool. They come from the specification. So it's talking about what the service realization viewpoint is used for, and how one or more business services are realized by underlying processes and sometimes by application components. I like to put the application components on this diagram. I think it gives a richness and shows, it tells a story all the way through from those business services right down to the applications that are going to realize them. And thus it forms a bridge between the business product viewpoint and the business process viewpoint. So let's get started, Scott. We're going to create a diagram here. So using the project browser toolbar, I can easily create a new diagram, and Enterprise Architect then puts up that view. I look into the motivation ones here, and I'm looking for that particular one. Let's look under business, and we're looking for the service realization viewpoint. So I encourage you to drop down those, expand those items, and you can see that we've got this service realization one there. Let's create the diagram, and we've been given a blank canvas, and Enterprise Architect has kindly opened up a number of toolboxes that are relevant to what we're doing. Now you notice that there are active structured business concepts there and behavioral concepts, but also down here we've got the service realization ones as well, which are the application set, so collaborations and components and services and things. So let's make a start. So the key element here really is the service element. So let's get one of those onto the diagram. That's what we're going to be focusing our attention to. I'll scroll up in the toolbar there, and I'll put on a business service onto the diagram. I'll give it a name, and I'll call it parking space allocation. So a key service in the parking system to be allocating parking spaces to people applying for a parking space while they're attending an event. We need to put some notes in for that, and I'll put those into the notes window. Parking space allocation is a core business service that manages the assignment and tracking of available parking spaces. So the narrative begins, Scott. Now, the other thing that we need to look at is the process that's going to carry that out. So let's look at putting a business process onto the diagram, and we'll do that. So we go back to our toolbox, and we're going to put on a process there. So we've got a business process there. I'll position that underneath there, and I'll give it the name of reserve parking space.
Yeah.
And again, I'll put some notes in for this particular element: parking space reservation, systematic process of identifying and selecting and reserving parking spaces. I'll use the alignment tool there, and the quick linker does the work for me. I'll drop that up, and Enterprise Architect shows me the list of things that I'm allowed to use there. I'm going to use the realize relationship. And now what I want to do is talk about the roles that are going to be performing that are related to that service. So let's have a look at that. We're going to put on a role here. Again, it's a business role, so we'll put that, drop that on, and we'll give it the name parking operator. So there are times in this kind of system where the local government doesn't actually operate the parking system itself, but it contracts people like parking operators.
Yep.
A parking operator might be a role that's within the city government as well, but it may not be as well. So let's put that in there. And the other thing that we can do now is we can continue the story downwards into the application space, Scott. So we can put in an application service. Some people like to go straight from a process through to an application component, but I think it's always a very useful thing to put on an application service. Notice this comes in a different color, and we'll call this parking space tracking. So this isn't the application itself. This is a service that is being offered by the applications. So independent of the actual applications. And again, we can use the quick linker there to link that up. And we can say that we'll, here, trigger serving flows too. Let's have another look at that. I'm going to put a different one on. I'm going to put on the realization relationship there, and I'll just use the toolbox to do that. Got my realization relationship, and let's put a relationship in here, and let's put that in as assigned to. So the parking operator has been assigned to that. Now we're going to put a number of other elements on here. We're going to put some actors on and some application components, but I'm going to get you to perform some of your time travel magic, Scott, and we'll come back in a few seconds.
Welcome back, Stephen. I've done a little bit of video editing magic. I can have a look in the browser and I can see that you've created separate packages for the actors, for the business roles, business services, and so on. Would you explain why you did that and how it makes it easier to, read or access?
Yeah, Scott, it's a personal decision or a team decision for organisations, and there isn't a particular rule that fits everything or a guideline that says that you should do this or you must do it. I like to do it when diagrams have got, a number of elements, and you can start to see with this, when I go into the pan and zoom window there, you can see that this is, starting to get quite a few elements on it. And if you can leave them just in a single group underneath the service realization viewpoint, but by grouping them, it's much easier, to find things. A lot of the noise goes away. And the other thing, Scott, is that at the moment there's a little bit of a redundancy in that, because I'm displaying the stereotype, the ArchiMate business actor, the ArchiMate business role, etc., as part of the name. But there are times when people will turn that feature off and not display those stereotypes, and then it becomes more difficult to find. You can always see the little icon there. You can see there's a little actor icon, implying that, but they get quite small, and it is a little bit difficult to see that. So I like to keep them like that. It is a personal decision whether you group them or not, but very simple to do. You simply just create, another package under there and group them.
Some of our audience might be developing things at home and might have it all in the root directory. And I just wanted to point out that that's a choice, and it does actually provide a bit of information about those elements in each package, which as you say, if you switch off the stereotypes, that information might be quite valuable.
Yeah. So Scott, what we were centering on was this business service application. That was kind of the centroid or the central element. And you can see that we've gone up from that to a parking operator, which is a service, and then to an actor, and the little icons in the top right-hand corner of the ArchiMate elements give away what they are. So I encourage you to learn those. And we come down to this business service and then a business process. And notice the color change, Scott. I'm not doing anything there. I'm not changing the colors of the elements. And, with ArchiMate diagrams particularly, it can be a little bit confusing for people. ArchiMate uses color itself to present the different layers in an architecture. So here we come down through the business one, and we come down into the application layer. And we've got an application service there, and then we've got a parking management system, which is the application component. We've got a mobile payment gateway service, and we've got a mobile parking app that's dealing with that. So a number of elements have been added: city traffic management, city finance manager. So the role that they're performing there is a parking revenue manager. They're related, or to the payment processing, collect parking payment. All of those things now are connected, and we can start to see the relationship both sort of upward to high level business things and downward to application things. I've got this ArchiMate connector legend on the diagram. I've just used that. That's a legend that's available from the reuse libraries there. You can see all I've done is just drag that on from the library onto that diagram, and that will work for any ArchiMate diagram. The other thing, Scott, is that I like to do is, that I always like to have notes that explain these things, and I encourage users to do that. We've got this inline specification view over here, this little chevron pointing to the left. I can click on that, and that gives me a view quickly of the element and also the notes that are associated with that. Now, if I look down, I have missed one, which is quite common to happen. The parking facilities manager might have been put in at a slightly different time, or the notes may not have been available. So I can go back and add those notes to the element there. You can see
it's a nice quick way of scanning your report and seeing which elements don't have a detailed set of notes.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And I can make some more room here and put that beside the diagram, and then just look at those elements as well and get a feeling for the diagram. So
can that inline specification manager be printed out?
Yes, it can be, Scott. That's a great question. You can print that one out, or you can create documentation from the documentation engine that's available from the publish ribbon. So lots of facilities there for you to do that. And I'll just quickly mention that, since you've mentioned it in passing. You can go to the publish ribbon there. I can create a custom document or a model document, and I can also just, if I wanted to, just save this diagram to a clipboard or to a file, and then put it into my favorite documentation tool that might be a word processor or something. But you can generate that all out from the tool. So incredibly useful facilities for getting information out of Enterprise Architect and into another view or another tool. And always remember, you can view this through the web products, Prolaborate and WebEA, so that will be available through a web interface if you've got the ProCloud server set up for your organization.
Excellent. Well, thanks once again for showing us another viewpoint in ArchiMate. It's really great to see how powerful and easy it is. To our audience, if you've liked the video, you know the drill. Please feel free to like, comment and subscribe on the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. We always appreciate your feedback. Once again, thanks, Stephen, for all your expertise. It's been great seeing these ArchiMate viewpoints being developed from scratch, and you make it look very, very easy. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott.